Hola, ¿qué tal? Buenas tardes. Yo sé que son maestros de inglés, pero yo no soy maestra de inglés, entonces yo voy a hablar en español. Buenas tardes, ¿qué tal? ¿Cómo están? Bienvenidos a la Biblioteca Benjamín Franklin. Gracias a los que vinieron de Puebla, muchas gracias con todo lo que toma venir desde otro estado, se los agradecemos muchísimo. Este espacio es parte de la red de American Spaces del Departamento de Estado, hay más de 600 alrededor del mundo. Lo que nosotros hacemos es dar información sobre Estados Unidos a los mexicanos y tenemos varios temas en los que trabajamos, por supuesto, uno es la enseñanza del inglés, también tenemos talleres para profesores que hacemos en conjunto con la oficina de RELO, de Regional English Language Office, tenemos actividades para sus alumnos, si ustedes son maestros de inglés, invítenlos a venir a la biblioteca, que practiquen inglés a través del cine, en la noche de juegos, que por cierto está ocurriendo en el otro salón. Como dije, a través del cine, tenemos clubes de conversación, algunos presenciales, otros virtuales, tenemos talleres para que practiquen la escritura, para que vayan desarrollando otras habilidades. Por aquí van a encontrar el QR donde se pueden inscribir en nuestro boletín de actividades y pues sobre todo es que pasen la voz a sus alumnos, a otros colegas que vengan a las actividades aquí. Podemos hacer lo que llamamos visitas guiadas, vienen con sus alumnos, les mostramos qué hacemos, qué tenemos aquí en la biblioteca y les invitamos a que se unan a alguna de las actividades que les acabo de mencionar. Y bueno, pues nosotros compartimos aquí el espacio con la oficina de programas de inglés y hacemos muchos eventos en conjunto, pues a Jonathan lo conocemos desde hace muchos años, a la UAP todavía más, entonces, pues muchísimas gracias por estar aquí y bueno, mi colega José Manuel Villafuerte va a continuar con la presentación. Muchas gracias, bienvenidos. También a la gente que se está conectando en Facebook, les pedimos que si pueden compartir esta conferencia para que más gente se entere. Gracias.
Gracias. Okay, well, this is supposed to be an event for English teachers, so let's switch to English. Welcome, good afternoon. Thanks for making your way to the Benjamin Franklin Library. As Claudia mentioned, this is an American space. We are very grateful to be in this iconic space. This has been a mecca for English language teachers for many, many years, and we are trying to keep it so. My name is José Manuel Villafuerte. I work for the Regional English Language Office, or RELO for short. Like you, I am a Mexican citizen. I am also an English teacher. And well, today to have this presentation, we have some very interesting people. But first, I would like to tell you a little bit about the history of this book. Way back in 2007, I think it was, both the Benemérita Universidad Autónoma de Puebla, or BUAP for short, and the Escuela Normal Jaime Torres Bodet approached RELO and said that they were interested in developing a book on mentoring and supervision for new English teachers. We supported them with an English language specialist, and they developed the book. It was published. Everybody was very happy, and they lived happily ever after. Well, not quite so. In 2018, as you know, we had this big COVID pandemic, COVID-19, and after the pandemic, a lot of things had changed, and one of them was teaching. Overnight, everybody had to include some component of online teaching. So again, we were approached because BUAP was interested in updating this very useful book. Again, we supported them with a different specialist this time, and Dr. Amy Gooden, who is unfortunately not here with us today. We hope she's watching on Facebook maybe. And they developed this new, updated, improved version, not only for face-to-face classes, but also for online classes. So I would like to introduce the people who are joining us today. We have Mr. David Fay, who's the Regional English Language Officer for Mexico, Guatemala, Belize, Honduras, El Salvador, and Cuba. Okay, we have Dr. Veronica Sánchez Hernandez from Facultad de Lenguas UAP. Gema, okay, Dr. Gema Herrera, sorry. I don't always remember everybody's names. And Dr. Jonathan Puon. Okay, so floor is all yours.
Thank you, Jose Manuel. I think that we could probably start by asking David Fay, our, I think that more than the regional English language officer, he's a friend to us. So David, would you please start with the background and introductory words for this book?
Thanks, Jonathan. You heard the background of the project. I was lucky enough to inherit the project. Honestly, it's the success of the four editors. Amy being the only one that's missing, and hopefully Amy is joining us because she was pivotal to the success of this. And Jonathan, you were just telling me recently just how important she was. You got to meet her recently in Minnesota. We hope that she comes to visit Mexico at some point as well, because she's put a lot of her heart into this project. I know there are some authors here. Can you put your hand up if you're one of the co-authors of this guide? Yay! So you're the ones who deserve to talk, not me. I mean, I really didn't do anything. We have the pleasure of allocating resources to something worthwhile when we see it's worthwhile, and beyond that, we don't do a whole lot. I've had the chance to work in many different countries around the globe. And I think there's a common thread with regard to pre-service teachers, and I would like to extend it to those beginning their career in their first or second year of their career. And I'm looking around the room, and it looks like most of you are in your first or second year teaching. Is that correct? Yeah. Okay. All right. We were all in the same boat. I was in that boat as well. And what I would have done for a good mentor, I think it's all too common for people to go through their 4 years of undergraduate study. They often are subject to lectures, even lectures on the communicative approach. I was one of those victims. I had lectures about the communicative approach. And then bang, you're in the classroom. Mexico has a wonderful practicum system, many hours of practicum. For that matter, they also have many hours of social responsibility. And I've seen many pre-service teachers also teach during those community service hours. So they get a lot of practice. But what often seems to be missing is somebody there to mentor them. The professors, and correct me if I'm wrong, the professors are often too busy. They're very busy. They're dealing with hundreds of students. When they get to the school, the reception is different depending on which school they arrive in. They might be thrown into a classroom without even somebody there in the classroom. Bang, they're in the classroom. And they're supposed to be possibly observing or playing the role of teacher assistant. I can't imagine how many teachers going into their career in their first 2 years change everything they believe in because they don't have the support that they need. Quite the opposite. In some cases, I've heard from those just entering the field that they might be frowned upon, looked down upon, ostracized if they try to do something too creative, too hands-on, if they divide the students into small groups for a project-based activity. I know when I started teaching, I was doing a lot of activities where the students made a lot of noise, and I would get complaints from the math teacher next door, the philosophy teacher the next door. Pretty soon I had the vice principal coming into my room saying, "What's going on? Can't you control your class?" Well, I thought I was increasing student speaking time, but so I think this book stands out as I think I use the word roadmap for interested institutions, both normales and universities, preparing the future generation of English teachers. I plan to share it globally with our Relo teams around the globe because I think it's relevant to everybody. And just 2 days ago, I got back from Chihuahua. I was with the faculty, English teaching faculty at UACH there, and they were already interested in it. So I think it's a great addition to the library of English teaching materials. And congratulations again, the authors. Hands up. Yes, you're the heroes. Bravo to you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, David. I think that we could probably continue with Veronica's comments on the contents and on the organization of the book and the contents and what we're trying to achieve with it. So I think that if we could please switch the screen, please, to the side. There is a site. There it is. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I would like to start to thanking Relo, the Relo office. Thank you, David, for trusting on this project. But before going to the content and the structure of the book, I would like to extend a little bit of the background of this project because I found it, and we found it very valuable, the intention to connect the programs in public university and normales. For many, many years, we have been divorced. We have been doing things similarly, very similar, but with no connections, with no communication. So back to the 2005, 2006, Fatima Encinas, who is right there in green, we started thinking, and she was leading these conversations with normales in Puebla, because we have similar programs, teaching formation programs, teaching preparation programs, and we have English programs, you know, for future English teachers, and we didn't know what we were doing, you know? So we didn't want to see the perspective of this communication from the deficit point of view, but from the full glass, you know, perspective, and see what are we doing right? So let's share the things we are doing right, the practices that we are doing successfully in our program. So we start with these conversations for some time, and we ended up with some conclusions that in the public universities, our students were very good at the language proficiency, you know, in universities at that time. And normales, they were doing very good things in the practicum. So why don't we share, you know, and do things together and learn from each other? That was the main inspiration for the first resource guide. And we developed this, as Jose Manuel said, we approach them, we ask for help, so that these two ideas, these two conclusions can put together to arrive with good material and good thing. And that's how the first resource guide was born. We use it. We ended up happily forever, as Jose Manuel said. But you know, it's 2022. We were at the end of the pandemic, and I was on my sabbatical. I was sharing some ideas with Jonathan. What am I going to do with my sabbatical? I was just, whatever. And I said, why don't we review the resource guide? Why don't we update it? You know, it's after the pandemic. Things are changing. Our first framework, our first theoretical framework was teaching us from the transformative point of view. You know, we frame our view on the sociocultural framework to see that teachers should transform, as you say, because we ended up without any help, any coaching, any mentoring, any supervision, and probably we continue doing the same. But what about including this framework? And that was our first theoretical framework. Now that we have Amy Wooden, which is there, you can see it right here or right there, to help us, reviewing and reframe our project, we came with this view of inclusion, transformation and inclusion in the classroom, but not seeing inclusion as handicapped people. No, inclusion because as you can see we have a variety of students from different communities, even different first language speakers. They were probably speaking an indigenous language or an original language. So that was our idea of inclusion, that the students that we have in the classroom, they belong to different communities, right? This is our endeavor. This is our job, to help them grow. We continue with the transformation idea because we believe that we teachers should transform when we do our work. And this is our main theoretical framework. And Amy wouldn't help us a lot to land and to set up this idea in the resource guide. I think I'm going to stand up because I don't see it. And this the structure of the resource guide, well, then it's Gemma, Jonathan, Amy, and myself with the ones in charge of editing the whole book. So we can go probably to the beginning where it says inicio, please. Can we go with the inicio? Well, these are the ones who are here. And thanks, Davey, for the foreword. I think that your words are very nice words and very accurate words for this book. So the book is divided into 4 chapters. Every chapter looks at specifically one practice in supervision and mentoring, right? So can we go to the first chapter, please? So the first chapter, which is me there, and I don't like my video, but I think we need to play. We are going to play the video so you could see what each chapter is about. Can we play the video, please? Thank you very much. So you could see every chapter is structured around these 6 objectives. So there is, from the very theoretical point of view of the different aspects that we review, like how to evaluate them, how to observe them, whether to observe and how to make them reflect on their own practice, to the more practical resources. I guess, and my co-editors would also believe that this is a very practical resource guide that offers, practical case studies, reflections, but everything it's based on this Mexican Latin American context, which we find it as the plus of this publication. Can we see, please, chapter number 2? Can we see the title, please? So it is Amy explaining our theoretical framework, which is inclusive and transformative mentoring and supervising roles. Well, as you could see, every chapter has this introductory video. And I just want to show you the structure of each of the chapters. Can you open any chapter? Probably, let's say chapter 4 or chapter whatever. Okay, we have the title there, which is the other area that we address in this publication is the use of visual, spoken language, and nonverbal communication in the classroom. Can we go a little bit down, please? It is Letty given the presentation. And all the resource guide is in this web page, and you can download every chapter. It's open access. Can we open the download, please? Can we? Thank you. Nope.
Yeah, it's gonna direct them to
A different window, probably. No. Because I would like them to see the structure of the chapter. No?
Yeah,
Probably go.
you have to exit the full view and then
Yeah.
there you
Yeah,
go.
there we go. So this is what a chapter looks like, right? We have the theme, the topic that we are addressing in the book, and it's divided into these 6 sections, you know, that I was the introductory book is telling about. Can we go, please download? We have the activating background knowledge. We have full of resources that you could use in your classroom with your student teachers. We have scenarios, real scenarios. We try to take the scenarios from our own experience with our own students, also with the students from Normal that Gema very gently shared with us, that we try to combine all the experiences that we have in both Normales and universities. You could see there are different resources, checklists, observation formats, scenarios, case study, so that as teacher trainers, as supervisors, as mentors can use a number of them for our students to use in their own development as future teachers. So this is what a chapter looks like, and every chapter has the same structures as you can see, right? For example, here we have turn taking and feedback, what we use, what we can use, or what can we tell students what they do in their classrooms, or with a number of, as again, formats for them to respond. So this is how the resource guide is structured, and we are at the end we are going to share with you a QR code so you can have access directly to the resource guide, because it's an open access. We will have this resource guide also printed soon. It's in print right now. You know that getting the ESBN number, it takes time, especially for all the requirements we need. But we will send some volumes available for the library if you allow us to send some. So available for the teachers who want to have one, and they have it also in the open access. So this is what the resource guide looks like. Thank you very much.
And so I think that we need the view from Escuelas Normales, and I'm gonna ask Gema to please share how, from her point of view, this guide would facilitate language teacher education at the Escuelas Normales realm. Thank you, Gema.
Okay, hello. Thank you for inviting us to be here. Thank you, Rilo. And I also would like to thank, our team, because they were an important part in this, to have this project done. And also I would like to thank Maestro Cesar, Maestro Ruben, that are here to support Normales. They are part of the GESUM group, and thank you very much for coming. First, there is something that I would like to consider when we talk about normales and when we talk about universidades. The most important part here is that when I started studying in both contexts, because I studied at and I studied at the university, I compared the curriculum. I compared the syllabi in these two programs, and I had experience to be part of both of them. So I had a view, and I also work in both institutions. So I think that that helped to give these different perspectives. And for normales, we have a lot of practicum. I remember that when I was in first semester, I started observing the context, and that never happened at the university. I was immersed in the university, in the teaching experience, I think in sixth semester or seventh, when at the normales, I started in first semester to observe, second semester to interview people from the context, not just in the classroom. I also had to go outside the community, outside, interview people around, and to start reflecting on how the context has an influence on my teaching. And in third semester in Normales, I was immersed in a class, third semester. And that was something that I think made me feel more comfortable as a teacher. When you are part of the practice in the very first semesters, well, that gives you the strength and that gives you more knowledge, but it also makes you feel more confident. So that is one important part that we have. However, one of the opportunities that we have as normalistas maybe is the language. We don't have too much, we are not immersed in the language. Well, that is the view of a student, but what about the view of a mentor, a supervisor? In this case, what happens in Normales is that we try to guide the student teachers that are the ones that go to the schools, but sometimes we use a vocabulary like control de grupo instead of something a little bit lighter. Control de grupo, we are like more rigid in some situations. And when we come to do this link with universities, we found that we can be more reflective about our own practice, but also reflective about their practice of the student teachers. So when we wrote this and when we shared all the experience that that our partners had, our team in Normales and our team in universities, we came up with the idea that something more practical was going to be useful as well as for Normales teachers than for university teachers. So I think that this is an excellent resource for Normales, for these kind of institutions, this particular context. Why? Because it guides the supervisors, it guides the mentors to be more practical, to make the student teachers more reflective. And that is something that we need now, to be more reflective, not just to say, well, I think that you need to correct this, you need to focus on that, you. And that was something that happened to me when I was a student teacher, that the mentor just gave me feedback, but in a negative way. And what happens here? That we switch, we make that switch. We now, we don't tell you you're wrong, you have to, we make you reflect, and we say, what do you think about what you did? And how could you improve? How did you feel? So that is something that we need. I think this is a great project, and I appreciate the support of our team, also Dr. Vero, Dr. Jonathan, and well, I would like to take a look to this resource, but also to share the book with Normales, with universities, and we're very glad for this project. Thank you.
So I guess I have to say something, right? Well, I think that even though we look at this as a great accomplishment, not only our accomplishment, but everybody's accomplishments, the co-authors, please raise your hands again. And some of them couldn't make it today, but I was a couple of weeks ago, I was telling Vero, yeah, this is a great accomplishment, but now it has to start rolling and it has to start working, and we have to start implementing this. And because we don't have enough things to do, we thought it would be a good idea to develop a model for this, for the implementation of this book. So I would like to introduce to you our great volunteers, Fatima and Irais. Please raise your hand. They are our Maestría en la Enseñanza del Inglés students, and they will be mentoring a group of student teachers from the Licenciatura program using this guide. And that's going to start this upcoming August. And the first, we think that we will have a sort of model for the implementation of this by the end of this year. And so what we think is that we could probably not only share the book, but also a model for its implementation. And anyone who wants to talk about its implementation and about the challenges that we're going to face, because we know we're going to change a lot, we're going to face lots of challenges. We already faced a couple of administrative challenges at our institution, but Vero has a firm hand, and so do I. We have managed to overcome those challenges. So I guess what I'm trying to say is that we're going to have a model that can be somehow replicated. And if you reach out to us, we'll be very happy to share it. And Fatima and Iris will be very happy to share it. And they will be the first ones using it. Of course, the language teacher educators, all of us, co-authors, and everyone else who would like to implement it right away, more than welcome. But I think that having a sort of model that can be replicated and adapted would be the best way to go after we have this outcome, which is a great outcome, but it has to start. It has to start developing, right? So stay tuned, because maybe next year we're gonna start sharing how this process of implementation is going to has been going during the next semester. And we are so lucky to have Fatima Ais and these other student teachers at the Licenciatura program who are willing to take this in their hands and start using it right away. So if you have any questions, not only about the content, there's the co-authors over there and us, please come to us. But if you, in the near future, you have any comments about how this can be implemented, please reach out. We are more than happy to have a communication with anyone everywhere. That's what we do, because we're language teachers, right? And the QR, we're gonna somehow, I'm going to get it in my phone in a couple of minutes, because do you have it? No, Emiliano has it. Okay, yeah, you can just come to us, and you can scan the code, and the full digital version can be downloaded from the code. So I guess that's what I wanted to say. We look at this not only as a publication that can be shared, but also as a model that can be replicated, and we'll be very happy to share it with you. So thank you so much. Yeah.
Any questions, any comments?
The co-authors.
The co-authors would like to say, yes, please.
I can. No.
I'm very glad that Normal and universities did like this together. I have always been curious about why I am from Acatlan, Pesunam. So I like to be in very many conferences, and I think you can reach out Acatlan too, because our major is very little. We have like 25 students, and the mentoring is difficult because we only have one subject where we can be student teachers, and that's not enough. So this guide can be also in the library of Acatlan. And well, thank you very much. And my question is for you, Gemma. How do you approach the doctor, and why did you decide to work together?
I was her student. I studied a master's at yeah, yeah. Well, I studied at the Faculty of Languages at BUAP, my BA and also my MA, and I was her student. And we have had many projects as a team, and we have worked in many well, for many years, but also we had the chance to had a an exchange with Normales in 2017, in 2017 or before that?
It started in 2005, 6, and
The
then
first, yeah. Oh, yeah.
more than 10, well, many years ago.
Yeah, and we keep working on that. We want to improve the practice of language, the English language practice.
Well, I would like to extend this comment. It was an unconscious omission, but working as a team, we decided for this second version to invite our colleagues because they are the ones who add up. They are the plus for this vision of mentoring and supervision. It's not only the vision of the three of us, but I really, really appreciate it. Was not easy. There were lots of hours of discussion, lots of hours of discussing with Amy, trying to understand each other. So it's a challenge to work. So we are 14 authors, and it's something that it's very, very valuable. So I very much appreciate the collaboration of my colleagues for this project. Any other question, comment? Yes, Claudia.
There was a question in Facebook. I think remove it, but I just got to read it, and it said that if one of these chapters, is there something that they can use for elderly people to teach the language? They want to know if there's some advice, if there is a chapter that talks about that.
Well, that was our inclusive framework for. Inclusive in the sense that this should reach all types of people as much as possible, right? That was our main idea of inclusion.
Sorry to interrupt you. Here's the comment. I'm going to read it. According to scientists, Mexico will be a country of all people in the near future, of which 1 in 2 people will develop the dementia. They suggest learning a language to improve brain plasticity and create new neural connections. Could the approach you promote to be used to improve the cognitive health of the elderly?
Claudia, why are you always looking at me as you read that question?
Did you get the message, David? No.
David, you should.
I think that's a great question, and I don't really know if the guy could be so directly oriented towards that kind of audience. I think that's a great start for a new project.
For the next version.
So yeah, no, I don't think we had that in mind when we started the project. So that would be my contribution to that.
Yeah, we were not thinking about that particular specific community, but I insist our inclusive framework, it's something that we can adapt and adopt if you want to. That's the advantage of having a clear theoretical framework when we do a project, that it was not the purpose, but
I could just add, a lot of times the hierarchy is of who mentors who is established by age. And I think maybe the interesting thing about this question is that I could easily see somebody at an older age, an advanced age, wanting to get into teaching. Maybe they've got free time. I've seen many people volunteer for literacy and instruction when they get older and they have more time on their hands, to be open to the idea of somebody young mentoring them to seek out possibly a mentor and ask the right questions about what they could be doing better. That part of it, I think, is important, to always be open to somebody else mentoring you regardless of the age.
Yeah. Any other comment?
I don't know if any of the co-authors would like to add something that maybe we omitted. He's Lau, Vicky, Gina, Letty. Anything that you maybe
Then we had a lot of coffee and cookies when we were working. We gain weight.
I've got a question. I'm going to ask one of the authors and volunteer one of the authors. How do you find time to do this? I think many people want to be able to contribute something like this, some wisdom, but it's, I've got so many hours of class. Where do I find the time? And I'm going to ask Vicky.
Thank you. Well, can you listen to me? Yes. That's a very good question. Like, time is very valuable nowadays, but time flies when you're doing such a project. So in our case, we work with chapter 3, which is we work with chapter 3, which is about the observation cycle, how to teach others to observe what they can do in the classroom, and how to help them to see things that sometimes are invisible to new teachers. So what we did in our chapter with my colleague Georgina and 2 other colleagues that couldn't come, we spent time talking about our own experience mentoring teachers and pre-service teachers. And also, I would like to say that with that question of adults, this guide is useful not only for pre-service teachers, but also for in-service teachers. So, which is why, like, you know, I've been a teacher for many years, but that doesn't mean that I know it all. No, so this guide was part of that. So we got together, look at our experience and how can that could be put together to make a chapter on observation. And as we discussed, we get back to the main team and we were discussing trying to include this transformative and inclusive framework. So at the end, if you like what you do, if you love what you do, this is something worth investing time on. And that's what we do for a living, right? And that's what we love and we like. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. All right, then. So I don't know if you have any more comments or questions, but we do. Oh, yes, we do. There's one more back there. Back there. There is.
Well, hello, everybody. Cesar and me want to thank Rilo and Gemma for this invitation. We're very happy to be here, and we would like to congratulate you for this excellent work, which we know it's very, very hard work, and it took you a lot of time. And ever since Gemma told me about this project, I was really, really excited because I think it's going to be fantastic, and it's going to be a great tool for Normales students, not only students who are starting for become an English teachers, but for all, you know that at Normales we have all kind of BAs, biology, math, history, whatever you can think of. So I think this is going to be a great tool for all our Normales community and for our Normales students, especially because of the approach that you're using it. It's not the traditional approach, as Gemma was telling us about a little bit earlier. So we're planning to present this book also at one of our Normales school here in Mexico City. So we will be very happy to have you presenting this book. And I would like to ask, maybe I shouldn't ask this because it's for the other BAs that are not, English BAs, but, the ones I was telling you, biology, etc., which are going to be very, very, it's going to be very useful for them. Are you thinking about the possibility maybe to make a Spanish version for, for Normales? It would be a fantastic publication. But
let's ask the authors.
Let's ask the author. Well, actually, yes. 2 weeks ago, we were in this conference, Language Teacher Education Conference in Minneapolis, which is sponsored by the Center of Research for Language Acquisition in the University of Minnesota. And a group of teachers, mentors, supervisors, teachers for English language program in Universidad Católica de Chile, they commented the same because we share them the guy, and they commented that they see the guy not only to serve the purpose for language teachers, but for other teachers doing mentoring and supervision. That was one of the that I felt, well, we are doing things right. But also, yes, that was we were wondering when we were talking with Gemma and Jonathan how and when we started sharing this in Puebla with the authorities in Normales in Puebla, whether they would like to have this resource guide in Spanish. So, well, this is our next project then, hopefully. Yeah, good idea. Irene has a question.
Thank you. I agree with Vicky that this is something that is not only for pre-service teachers. I think that teachers in general, wherever you teach, you have this thing for learning. You cannot say, okay, I'm a teacher, I graduated, I know it all. I can just go into the classroom and teach a class. I think we need to evolve every day, every time, there are new trends, new things. So my question based on this is, if you would say this book can be adapted to other contexts outside Normales and university teachers. I mean, I was thinking about my background, and I worked for many private schools in Mexico where you constantly have to supervise teachers. And elementary, middle school, high school teachers, English institutes, for example, that are constantly training teachers, to teach more levels or things like that. So I'm thinking the answer is yes, but I would like to know a little bit more, okay, of your opinion. Thank you.
Me?
Yes,
Yeah,
you.
okay. I always get the tough questions, right? I think that the answer is yes. Not because you already said yes, but because we also see the practice of language teacher education as an evolving process, and it has to be adaptive. One thing that we have learned from the decolonized perspective of language teacher education is that everything has to be adapted, and one good project can be adapted to different contexts. And I think that's what we did with. I was not involved in the first edition, but I was involved in its sharing and also somehow implementation. But now we thought that we could use this book, this guide, as a guide, but not a Bible, to be adapted. So in that sense, yes, and of course, every language teacher educator, and every language teacher mentor has to look at this from a reflective point of view to adapt it to the particular purposes. And we would be very happy to engage in that conversation with, the key people involved. Yeah.
And Irene just became a grandmother, so she's actually asking about mentoring, supervision, and grandparenting. She wants to extend the scope of the book a bit.
Okay, sorry, but well, we were scheduled for an hour, and we're coming a little bit above that. Thank you again very, very much for being here today, for sharing this valuable resource. As I said, I will be sharing the QR code so that you can download the digital version. If you would like the print version, because you're old-fashioned like me, please make sure to contact them. Thank you very much for being here. Thank you for coming to the Benjamin Franklin Library. Have a great weekend, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you. very
you.
much. Can I invite all the authors to come here and have a picture with the Relo people here, please? Thank you. Authors, please, can you come here to the front? And thank you, please, the public, you Normales teacher, other teachers for being here.
Get the